Generally, when you resolve things into its constituents, the fascination will reduce. I'll give you an example. Suppose we have something called a very good pitA, for example. pitA, or you let us take kaju, katli and all that, very healthy things. When you see that and taste it and think about how sweet it is, then attraction comes. But if you look at kaju katli and say, what is this? Cashew nuts. I don't like cashew nuts as it is. Sugar. I don't like sugar. Maybe some milk there. I'm not very fascinated by milk. It is merely a compound of all these three. The moment I see that way, my fascination for that object stops. Because I see it as only, these are all, what is it? Sugar, cashews, milk. What is a big deal? That's all. Likewise, fascination for things which we see are merely dead 5 elements. They are the compound of these 5 elements. Individually, these elements don't give us any fascination. And that's why in Bhagavatam it is said, if you are so attached to the body, look at its constituents and you won't be. Dehe, asti, mamsa, udiram, abhimati, tyajatvam. What is this body which we are so careful about? What is that which we want to protect our image? Nothing but a bunch of flesh, blood, bones, skin, and apart from that, all these horrible things which are we ourselves feel very repulsive. But then it's all inside us. The moment you see that way, the fascination for the body or the image I need to carefully protect, etc., becomes immaterial. See, and that is the reason why there are 2 paths of worship shown by Bhagavad Gita itself, shown by our own Bhagavan Sri Krishna himself. And the 2 paths of worship are the worship of Bhagavan Sri Krishna or the inquiry into Bhagavan Sri Krishna's Swarupam, which is Brahman, Brahma Vicharam, which is no different from Atma Vicharam. And when I hold on to this, I hold on to that. When I open my door from my little house, the entire infinite space is also open to me. Do you get this? Till I have a locked room inside, I think space is only this. But the moment I open the door and realize outside sky, first time in my life, suppose, I realize infinite sky is outside. Would I think space inside my room, space outside my room? Outside is big, inside is small. I realize space is infinite. Then I lose the identity of space inside the room, space outside the room. I see space. Finish. Although Atma, Brahman, both are conscious, I realize its identity. You see? And that's what is Nirguna Upasana. And our Ramana Bhagavan very beautifully explains that. How do you do Nirguna Upasana? There is something called Upasana. We all understand realization that everything is one. But how do I do worship of it? For me to worship, the mind has to hold on to something. And our Adi Shankara Bhagavad Paatah is going to actually define dhyana, define upasana, what it means. Upasana means I need to hold on a thought of the truth in my mind without a break, like pour of oil or flow of Ganga. How can I think about that which is formless? How can I think about that which is having no qualities? How can a mind hold on to the thought of consciousness? Is it possible? How is it possible? Very beautifully, Ramana Bhagavan says, thinking of consciousness is abiding in it. Let me give you an example. There is an Upanishad called Kenopanishad. In that it is said, how do I use the mind to do Brahma Vichara? Is that which I see cannot be Brahman, but by which I see has to be Brahman. So how do I see? What is the eye of my eye? Kannukku kannai, kannindri kanunai, kanuvar ever path, Brahma Vichara. Which means the eye doesn't see by itself. There is this consciousness which lights the eye to make it see. So instead of focusing my attention on that which is seen, I want to inquire what makes me see. How come this bunch of flesh is giving me this wonderful scenery outside? What makes me see? What is the eye for my eye? What is the I-ness in my I? And then your mind drops that which is seen and inquires into who is seeing this. That which is seen cannot be the truth. That which sees has to be the truth. How do I see it? You see, inward. And that's what our Ramana Bhagavan says is Atma Vichara. And our Swamiji has explained that very beautifully. I will tell you in Tamil, I will tell you in Sanskritam, I will also tell you in English. வெளிவிடயங்களை விட்டு மனம் தன் ஒளி உருவோர்தலே உந்தி பர உண்மை உணர்ச்சியாம் உந்தி பர திருஷ்யவாரிதம் சித்தமாத்மனஹா சித்வதர்ஷனம் தத்வதர்ஷனம். This mind naturally is running out through this mind is running out through the sense organs and is trying to see the world. Here our Ramana Bhagavan says, when you get a sensation from the world, don't focus on the object which gives you the sensation. Don't focus on the sensation itself, but ask, how did I get this sensation? What was the cause of this sensation? What was the cause of this thought, which is the sensation? So where did this thought arise from? And then turn your mind inwards. Inwards na enartham? Mind trying to seek its source is what is called as Atma Vichara or Brahma Vichara. And so this was the Nirguna Upasana. And how do I do Upasana? Instead of holding on to that source of my mind, the mind abides there. And abiding the mind in its source becomes the Upasana for Nirguna. Nishtas. People who are in the path of inquiry, people who are in the path of Jnana Vichara, has to make their mind abide in the source by first cutting off all this attention towards things which are external and then inquiring into, I am getting the thought, who is getting the thought, I am getting the thought, who am I? And again pull that mind to its source. And the only way for the mind to do the worship of the formless is to abide in consciousness in silence. You see? And that's what is worship. And having the nishta or having the wanting to again and again make the mind abide in that source becomes the worship. I hope it's... So now Bhagavan has told both these types of stories. The both paths he has shown. Mostly he talked about how the mind has to abide in the Atma or consciousness for us to get the samatvam, because the equality can be seen only when we see from the base of equality. Okay. What I meant is, suppose I am in India. And for me, the fellow Indians make no much appeal to me. Why? Because now I'm an individual, they are all individuals. The moment I move out of this boundaries of India, suppose I'm in Iceland, and suddenly I find somebody who looks very much like a Madrasi, wearing veshti, wearing kurta, and wearing vibhuti or kumkumam or whatever. Suddenly, that person whom I wouldn't have even cared about in Chennai, because my perspective is I'm no longer in India. Now, anybody who is an Indian, I feel that oneness with them. You get what I'm saying? Suppose I settle in Mars. All I see is only rocks everywhere. If I even find one living object, I suddenly feel the oneness of life because my perspective has changed. And now I'm seeing through the platform of oneness. And for me, if I am in the house, that sense of oneness is only between my family members, because my perspective is, this is my boundary. Within that, anybody who has the oneness of they belong to my family becomes very dear to me. They becomes one with me because my platform of oneness is family member. When I go to the road, it becomes friends, acquaintances, etc. becomes that oneness. Anybody whom I knew before, I have this platform of oneness through which I see it. If I go to a different city in Bombay, anybody who speaks Tamil, suddenly I feel that oneness, you see. If I go out of India, any Indian, I see that with the platform of oneness, that I am, that in the identity of mine is now Indian, because I'm out of India now. And the moment I am out of Asia, any Asian, I see it in the platform of oneness. And like that, if I go to Mars, any living being becomes one with me, because I'm living, you are living. So I'm seeing with this platform of one. It's called samatvam. You see, samatha. Samatha. So the door to peace, the door to that joy is samatha. And two roads has to merge there. Even in bhakti, it has to go through the door of samatvam or samatha, where I see the oneness. In the path of enquiry, because everything is consciousness, I go through the path of samatha. You see, now even the world, when I am a person with ignorance, I see diversity, and I see this whole Jada world. The moment I become illumined and a jnani, I don't see Jadam at all, because I'm not Jadam. I don't have this ignorance of Jadam. So I see everything as Vasudeva. I see everything as consciousness. Nothing changed in this world. The way I saw it is different. The veil of ignorance is gone. So I see consciousness everywhere. Everything is a play of that one consciousness. And that is what is these two paths converging. The path of Nirguna Bhakti or Nirguna Upasana Bhakti. And our Adi Shankara Bhagavad Pada beautifully fine-tuned the word Bhakti as Swaswarupa Anusandhanam Bhakti Eva Uchya. That Anusandhana or the Nishta or the constant seeking to make the mind abide in the soul, abide in the consciousness, Swaswarupa Anusandhana. That becomes bhakti for people who are in the path of Nirguna Nishta. For people who are in the path of Saguna, it is Krishna, Krishna, Krishna.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,